YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this. All new from E-flite. This is a new livery. Previously, it was an RJ Gritter finish, but this is the Decathlon 1.2 meter, and we're gonna fly it right now for you. 2200 4S 50C. You can fly it on as much as 3200 50C, or well, not 50C, but 3200, all the way down to 2200 3S as they recommend. Just so you guys know, this does have thrust reverse. You have to set it up. We'll show you how to do all that in the unbox build radio setup. What a beautiful livery. I love the general aviation look. Painted tips front and back, I might add. And there are LEDs, it's just that they're not very bright. Okay, you'll notice there's outboard ailerons. Geez, that was quick. We're just gonna slide it around. So now, one thing real quick about this plane, we did our build. We have an unbox build radio setup, just like we always do. Man, that thing is so symmetrical. When you fly upside down, it feels like you're basically doing exactly the same thing as you were going right side up. A little touch and went via the grass pedals. But what a great, fun operating plane. Yes, that's right, I just pulled out of that. Totally stalled out upside down. This plane does all the things that you want it to do. If you're into 3D flight, you'll be able to do it. The one thing it won't do is deploy flaps. That's what I was getting at. So if you have a real short strip, that's one thing to keep in mind. This plane doesn't slow down as easy as I'd like it to. And that doesn't mean that you can't slow it down. It just means you need to be prepared to deal with it. And thrust reverse is a good way to slow down a plane. Let's show you real quick. I'll bring it in and do a little bit of slip. See the slip, 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 slip. I know some of you guys were cringing. Don't hit the trees, Brian. They're further back than they look. Okay, you guys see what I'm talking about? How it carries a lot of speed, and I'm just over the stall speed, okay? And once you get this thing fired up, it'll go. But again, I'm not all about speed with a plane like this. I want performance. And it does take a second to spool up the performance on this plane. And you do have to have a little bit of skill to fly it. And so that's one of the reasons why it's nice to have safe. And that's safe. You see, it's limiting my bank angles. Okay, camera crew is gonna point the camera so you can see. As I let go of the sticks, it's gonna automatically level. Pull back, it's gonna limit my bank, it's gonna limit my pitch down, and it's gonna limit my roll left and right, okay? So it works really well on this plane. And the funny thing about safe is that the loosest planes, in my opinion, I'm gonna show you this, with safe will really help if you're having trouble landing, because it'll keep those wings nice and level. But it doesn't stop a bounce. And so when you put down, you gotta put down right. But look at that, guys, I still have safe on and you can fly it like you stole it. Okay, now I'm out of safe and I'm in AS3X Plus, which is definitely a different experience from just regular AS3X because it really does lock in the planes. You guys will notice the tractoring of the prop stops, and that is, of course, customary with the braking for thrust reverse. If you don't need thrust reverse and you don't want the prop to stop like that, so you can slow down the plane a little better, that's probably a good idea. By the way, we have the center of gravity exactly in the center of the marks, which are 55 to 65. Sorry, I'm actually doing a little bit of trim on the elevator. I just realized as I was doing that last pass set, it was kind of losing its nose. It was just dropping a little bit. So the weird thing about this plane, and I thought it before, the Decathlon, the RJ Gritter livery, Kind of made me feel the same way. It's an incredibly fast plane. If you want something that's relaxing and smooth, you'll want to kick down your rates and fly on ultra calm days. It will handle all that, no problem. It's just that if you're like me and you need the real estate to make the landing, which everybody needs the real estate, but not everybody has it, you see? Okay, so check this out. So let's see. And then the thrust reverse. It does the job. You can get it down, and then I'm 2 minutes from my 7 on the timer that we set up. And you can see we're using up that battery really quick, okay? So I feel like this plane has some amazing potential in the hands of the most skilled pilots, but it is definitely not a Cub. So if you get this thinking you're gonna be flying a Cub, just remember, this thing is a lot more to handle, and it's also gonna put out a lot more in terms of performance, okay? You gotta remember, when you have a high performance plane, it takes more skill to do all the things. But I will warn you, if you think it's easy to fly this plane, it is one of the harder 1.2 meters to fly, in my opinion. And you guys will notice that when I'm flying it. That doesn't mean it's bad flying, it's just harder to fly, okay? If you guys like the flying performance of the planes, oh man, I was doing trim right when she was talking, so I couldn't hear the clicks. I was just noticing a little bit of trim on the rudder that I wanted to give. And so now I'm fearful that I overshot. If you guys didn't figure that out yet, on the NX lineup, there's no more than one audio vent that can be in the stack at once. And so what that means is that you will actually lose the audio of one event, but then it will execute afterward. And it sometimes puts it all out at the same time. It doesn't time it well. Okay, I'm gonna bring it in, a little bit of throttle, getting over these 2 tall trees. There's a gap in the middle. And as you can see, no forward thrust, no thrust reverse this time, just trying to show you that you can get it down, no problem. And by the way, the area that we're flying on there, from where that bump is, you're talking about roughly, about 150 feet back here still. So we still have power in reserve, but I think it's gonna drop down. And that's, by the way, right at 7 minutes. Okay, we are on the ground for just a second, so we're gonna go ahead and fly to the full 7 minutes. I think 7 minutes was a good time. Also, the landing gear are very, very soft on this model. So if you intend to do grass hops or anything like that, just remember, they will get bent, I'm guessing. I'm not doing grass hops right now just because I don't wanna deal with the trouble of wet. We've been dealing with rain and just really redonkulous weather. Boy, I love the stripes on the bottom of this plane. It looks so good. But I'll tell you what, guys, I am a flap guy. I love flaps. They make me smile. I know that this is a super decathlon, and a super decathlon would not have flaps. You guys see what I'm talking about? It'll handle the grass just fine. It's just that I prefer to land on a paved strip. Now, if you guys are wondering how to make your landings look perfect, just do grass hops. In fact, we better do grass hops. I'm gonna show you guys a grass hops landing. Yes, you can hammerhead it. Yes, you can do any of the tricks you wanna do. But I know what you really wanna know is, does the thing perform as good or better than the RJ Gritter? And I think it performs exactly the same. It's just different livery. Get hard on the elevator though. You see how hard up I was? And I almost tipped over. Again, about 1:43. Let's try grass hops for takeoff. You guys, it's really chunky right here, right now. We're gonna go over there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab it. We'll go ahead and put it in the front yard up by the house. There's kind of a little bit of a smooth patch. Obviously here in a couple of weeks or month, we'll be mowing again and we can start to kind of get the grass under control. But when you have a mix of fescue grass and Kentucky blue, what you end up with is really tall grass and then really short grass, and it makes for a really tough takeoff. And so I don't want to put a plane at a disadvantage because of the time of the season. So sure, you could put down in it, but I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, throttle cuts off. This is about 2 minutes 35 past our timer. We'll see if we have enough real estate there. Oh yeah, no problem. So if you guys are gonna do this, oh, and you can hand launch this plane too. Okay, that's my first low voltage warning, so we're gonna go ahead and take a landing. You're good. I'm just gonna do a nice relaxed flight. I'm just gonna slow down my throttle. I'm saving in reserves, lots of additional power if I need it, because thrust reverse might be needed. 3-wheel landing this time. You have to be Johnny on the spot with that tail wheel. And no, I did not ground loop. I just wanted to turn it around because I didn't want to go chase it. But you guys can see, how beautiful does that thing look? It looks like a real plane. It flies like a real plane, but it has all of the beauty of the RJ Gritter, except in a more general aviation feel. I love the way this Super Decathlon looks. It performs great. This flies just like other Decathlons. It's got an easy loading front hatch. You can take this wing off. You can unclip all down here, and then the supports in the middle will undo without any tools. This you can undo with or without tools. I chose to tighten it a little bit more, but I could, in a pinch, get those undone. I added a piece of tape here too. We'll show you how to do all that. In the unbox build radio setup, you can see 2200 4S50C, and it's located here. If you want a little bit more refined, calm flight, here's the thing. This widens at the bottom, so you put the nose, see the nose? You catch the nose in here, and then it drops in. There's just one sweet spot, okay? But if you guys want a more nose-heavy, solid, overstable flight feel, just go nose-heavy on it or use a bigger battery. But just remember, those bigger batteries are gonna be taxing on this landing gear. And yes, I mean taxing. Look at this, guys. Look at these landing gear. First of all, they're beautiful. They're soft in all the directions, but namely this one, okay? Same thing on the tail wheel. You've got a little bit harder tail wheel actually, and yes, there is a tail light. You just can't tell it's on. That would be probably my biggest complaint on this model, is that we're not gonna see the LEDs unless it's like totally dark. And we're not really flying RC in totally dark in most conditions. But ball link connections to all the control surfaces, really well done build. I mean, the build is super easy. Of course, we make it take forever. Anybody who says it's a 5-minute build is lying to you. It's probably more like a 15-minute build for the average Joe, okay? Especially if you built it and then you're just putting it back together, you'll have no trouble. I think the nut and bolt stacks, there was like 4 maybe inside of one bigger. Yeah, which was the one thing to watch for, because ours was hiding. But being that this is an early sample, it would have already been touched by some factory guys. So anyway, beautiful plane, really well done. Love the shape of the fuse. Love the bulge here and where the bubble windows could be there. It's just a really neat, well done plane. But it's a Decathlon. So if you don't like Decathlons, you won't like this plane, okay? That being said, I will gripe in the video, in the unbox, about not having flaps and flap runs. This is a quick release wing, but it's got one connector and it goes to a Y. The good news is you can intercept that. It's all right there. You can unplug the Y and you can go straight down to the receiver. This has an AR631 Plus. You got plenty of channels. You can set your own thing up, or you can set it up stock and you can pull it right from the Spectrum Smart transmitter file. So STF. Yes. The stuff. You can load the stuff. But anyway, at the end of the day, it's a gorgeous plane. I love general aviation planes, and it does all the things that you would expect it to do, with the exception of flying heavy, okay? If you fly it heavy, it's gonna change the way this thing flies, and it's gonna be more and more bricky, because it is a dense plane, in my opinion, which means it's very stout, it's very resilient. but it is not floaty like you see many of the E-flite models, okay? This one, it is super stout, and it is, I don't want to say it's heavy because it's not heavy. Obviously, it's flying, but it flies heavier than some of the other models, in my opinion. It's got plenty of power to do all the things you want, but you just use up the power quick. We have models that fly on 2200 4S that will fly longer than this, and they're bigger, okay? So that leads me to believe that it just ends up being a pretty draggy model as it's going. Again, that's a Decathlon, not necessarily a poke at E-flite or anything like that. I really like the way that this plane looks predominantly. I like the thin landing gear, but then I don't like that they're easy to bend, okay? I'd rather have a music wire that's gonna hold, okay? But I love the look. I mean, those thin lines look just like a real one. So, and the other thing is, a real Super Decathlon is a small plane, so it's dinky. So, you know, someday there might be a real one in that building over there. That'd be pretty awesome. Oh, by the way, show them the piles. Those are piles of sand. I needed 75,000 pounds of sand. I figured the millions of pounds of rock and crap that we've brought in wasn't enough. So that'll handle the crap in our septic system. Actually the water, but even still, it's a sand filter. So things are happening over there. It's on the backside, so you can barely see it, but there's a little bit of dirt work going on. And the guy's delayed doing a breakdown today, so hopefully he'll be back, but rain immediately set in as soon as we started dirt work.
All week, every day.
Oh, guys, so if you want to help support Brian Phillips RC in this crazy aerodrome project we've got going, spring is about to sprung. You can see the trees are starting to get leaves. I'm super excited, guys. When you fly airplanes, you know what makes it really helpful? Being able to see the tree that you definitely are never gonna hit. Because like that one there is dinky. I can barely see it.
Yeah.
But it does help if there's leaves on the tree, it makes it a lot easier to see one that's close compared to one that's far. So a couple things, if you're brand new to flying RC and you're thinking of getting this plane, just don't. Get a different plane. There's better options. They call this a level 2. I think this is firmly a level 3. Some people will disagree with me. Congratulations, that's my opinion. It's not a fact, okay? This plane is a handful. If you don't like handfuls, that's weird, okay? Because it's kind of fun to play with a handful once in a while. That being said, the Super Decathlon is a handful. And why do you think they use it? Why do you think RT Gritter uses it as an aerobatic stunt plane?
Exactly.
Because you can do crazy stuff with it.
Because it's slow and
no, it's not slow. It's
I'm
fast.
saying, like,
yeah, exactly.
it has to be.
It has to be incredible.
Yeah.
So this thing carries the same spirit as the RG Gritter. It's just in the general aviation, more general aviation looking scheme. I like this actually. I slightly prefer the general aviation look. Not to take anything away from RG Gritter's paint job. It's just, like when there's a Blue Angels F-16, or not F-16, well, I guess they would technically have an F-18, or if they had a Thunderbirds F-16, I know some people are gonna hate this. I actually prefer them in the gray. I wanna look like the military killing machines that they really are. Because you gotta remember, guys, what's the purpose of these aircraft is what I'm after. I'm kind of a scale guy. I love, well, I'm a scale guy too. I work on industrial scales, but I am a scale aficionado. That's what I like. Sorry, I'm just trying to communicate a complex idea in just a few words. I'm good at it. Anyway, welcome to Brian Phillips RC. I like this plane, but I'm not a huge fan of flying decathlons, okay? So when you see my enthusiasm at a 6 and you think it should be an 8 or a 9 out of 10, I think it's because I prefer slow and relaxed planes, which is totally ridiculous because you would think you want fast and insane because we've seen how excited you get for fast and insane. Sure, but I think the practicality level for the average Joe doesn't go down with this model because it's crazy. You can put down on grass, you can put down on pavement. It does take a lot of room on pavement, full disclosure. So if you're landing a paved strip or parking lot or something like that, it just takes a lot of room to develop landing and get in because this thing will bite and it will fall. So Don't be surprised if you come in for landing and it falls and drops the wings and then you crash. So you got to get into the throttle and salvage your landing. So my suggestion is your first time flying this thing, if you're a newer pilot, say it's your third or fourth plane, which would be totally reasonable. If you got the skills to fly out of safe a little bit, you'll be fine with this. Just turn on safe for your landings, bring it in, keeping the throttle about 10, 15% because you'll have thrust reverse turned on. That'll keep the prop tractoring. That's gonna create a disc or a plane that's gonna create drag, and it's gonna slow you down. Now, the other thing you can do is you can bring it in like this, turn the plane sideways, kick the tail, and then use contrary aileron and rudder inputs, and that will slip the plane. So then you use this part of the plane for drag, okay? So as you slip a plane, you'll slow it down. It's a standard practice in planes that don't have flaps, flaperons, or some combination therein, okay? And it really does work, but I'll tell you, this plane gets wonkadelic as you get slow. So you need to be prepared. And by the way, we're using like the middle-sized battery, okay? On 3S 2200, it's gonna be a whole lot less ballsy, but I think you're still gonna have an enjoyable flying experience. In fact, it's probably a little bit more up my alley for the way I fly, because you don't see me out there doing prop hangs and going like John trying to catch it in the air from two bros. You know, I don't care, John. It's okay. We can compare notes at Joe Nall. But anyway, guys, at the end of the day, I love this hobby. I love bringing you footage here of this aerodrome we're building. It's been way more than we wanted to spend, way harder than we wanted to put. But it's, I think maybe some year we'll look back and say that was a good idea. When we get there. But right now, we do have an extended runway, which really helps with planes like this. Because I don't know if you guys recall, but shooting off the end of the runway is not the best way to handle stuff. Especially if you have hay grass at the end and the grass is this tall. So, beautiful plane. Hopefully you can put it all into perspective of how Brian Phillips feels about this particular type of airframe. But at the end of the day, I think you guys are gonna love it. It's a well done plane. It's got Metal Gear, high quality servos. It's got ball links. It's got good linkages, strong, easy to adjust, really high thread count, fine precision, so you get really good mechanical adjustments. The LEDs leave a lot to be desired in brightness, but they actually do have strobes and green lights and red lights, but you just have to take my word for it. We will show it in the unbox. So note to self, manufacturers, when picking LEDs, make sure they're bright enough to see. But other than that, beautiful build, really strong, robust airframe, beautiful landing gear. If you can land it, you'll be fine with it. If you can't land it, get something easier to fly. You'll be happier. That's my take on it, but what's yours? Leave it in the comments below. Well done by E-flite, but I will tell you this. I wonder if a bigger, lighter wing loading would be a more enjoyable experience for me on a Decathlon. I'm curious. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. You guys know how I am. You know what I like to fly. You see me do it for 11 years now, some of you. And by the way, if you've been around for 11 years, smash the like button. Click the bell to subscribe if you haven't. Why haven't you subscribed in 11 years? Good Lord. But that being said, we really do appreciate our long, loyal audience that's been around forever. You guys are great. We appreciate you buying this stuff from the links. You're helping to fund all this. And we really appreciate it. We couldn't do it without you. In fact, we wouldn't do it without you. So if y'all left and went somewhere else, and we'd be like, hey, thanks for the good run. But I love the hobby. I'll still be doing the hobby. I just won't film it. So hopefully we brought you a little teeny bit of value. If we have, let us know in the comments. I think it'll be a word of encouragement to us, but it'll also be an encouragement to other guys that are getting back to the hobby and guys that are coming into the hobby, and girls too, or whoever you are. I don't care what you are, as long as you come to the hobby. The truth is, the hobby is bigger than us. It's bigger than any one of us together, but it's gonna die off if we don't invest in it, okay? So let's make this thing survive. It's good, okay? There's only so much AI can do for our lives, and it is not flying airplanes for us. Although, at some point, they're gonna put us in those meat tubes and fly us around with AI, I'm sure they will. And then when they start crashing into each other, they'll be like, whoa, where did all that happen? So anyway, at the end of the day,
On that note,
on that high note, good job, E-flite. We hit all the targets today.
we did. Way to go.
Thanks guys for watching. That's the Super Decathlon. This is not a revisit. It is actually a new release for us. The RJ Gritter was out of stock. So I don't know if it just ran out or if it ran out here a while ago, but we've had this sitting waiting for the imperfect opportunity to fly, and it's been terrible. Yeah. So guys, I hope you're having a better spring for flight times, but we've had about 10 in the last 3 months. It's been really tough.
Maybe.
So get out there, get flying. Spring is almost here. Stop giving us blizzards, Mother Nature. We want spring. The grass is getting green. We're excited. You should be too. Start flying. Stay tuned. So much more from Brian Phillips, RC. Other ways to support us, YouTube members. Thanks for being members, as well as Patreon. You can do monthly support that way. We also have YouTube Super Thanks for one-time donations if you want to throw us 10 bucks because your wife won't let you buy this Decathlon, or maybe it's not for you. And then we also have PayPal one-time donations. Fee structures, YouTube's 30% comes off of it before it gets to us. It doesn't come on, you don't have to add anything to it. And it's like 17 or 18% at Patreon. PayPal's free as long as we're friends and family. So I'm not refunding your donations. You don't need to do that.
You don't get anything back.
You don't get it back. Once you got it, it's gone. Yeah. It's spent. But at the same time, all joking aside, guys, the best way to support us financially if you're trying to, buy amazing products that we review. If this is not for you, we're not trying to do a hard sell on this particular plane or that particular plane. We're trying to do a hard sell on this hobby because we love it, okay? We might occasionally push what we like the NX8. I love the NX8, the NX10. We have had really good luck with Spectrum transmitters. I started on like a DX4i, you know, I mean, some of the stuff I got from my grandpa who's now passed. Thank God he did. He helped to encourage me into this, even though I was kind of getting into it anyway. It worked out good. They downsized. I ended up getting stuff out of their basement. And it was a lot of stuff. Most of it was kind of like old and broke up. But the thing is, then we started building planes together. And it built a really awesome connection that we shared for a few years before he passed away. Wish we would have done it 20 years before that, but it wouldn't have worked, you know? So if you're just like me and you had an opportunity, you missed it, don't miss it again, get it done today. We'll help communicate what's working and what's not. Full truth, nothing but the truth, so help us God. That's what we do. Thanks for watching. Come back for more.